Welcome to America Reads Fun Learning Activities. We are college students who create learning activities for kids. Our activities are focused on reading, writing, and math. Thank you for joining us to learn today. My name is Shravya. In today's activity, we'll be learning how to use English conventions when writing our sentences. For today's activity, we will be focusing on making sure that the sentences that we write have the CSPs. What are CSPs, you ask? Well, here they are. C is for capitalization, S is for spacing, and P is for punctuation. We often capitalize the first letter in the sentence, like so. I spy with my eyes. See how the I is capitalized? Now notice the spacing within the sentence. After each word, there is a space before the next word. Now let's look at punctuation. Notice how there is a period at the end of the sentence, showing that the sentence is now finished. Let's put our CSP rules to practice by looking at a special mystery story. Oh no! It seems as though this story is not written correctly. Let's practice our CSPs and make sure to rewrite the story to be correct. So let's go ahead and get our activity materials to rewrite the sentence correctly. For this activity, you will need a printed out paper template, plain paper, some scissors, one popsicle stick, markers, and some glue. Now that we have our materials, I think we need a little buddy to help us out and correct this story. So let's make our very own spacer snail. To make our spacer snail, take one popsicle stick and color it with whatever color you would like. Now let's take a black marker to give it eyes and a mouth. Now we have to make our snail's cool shell. So take one piece of plain paper and cut a strip of it like so. Now you can color all over this strip of paper and draw tiny little designs if you want. My paper strip is done and here's how it looks like. Now we will take our paper strip and roll it into an almost C shape, like so. Now we will take one end of the C shape and glue it onto the popsicle stick. Ta-da! Now we have made our snail spacer. Now we can use our snail to check the spacing in the story. But how will we remember our C's and P's? That's easy. Make a C with your hand like so. And ta-da! The C that you made with your hand stands for capitalize your letter. Now let's find out how to try and remember our P. We can remember our P by doing this, making our hand into a fist. When you look at your fist, think about the dot or period that you put at the end of a sentence to end it. Now we have a way to remember each of our C, S, and P's. C being this, the S being our spacer snail, and P being our fist. Let's put this into practice. Let's look at the first sentence and use our CSPs. Okay, so starting off with our C. C means to capitalize the first letter of the first word in the sentence. It looks like the T is not capitalized in this sentence. So therefore, you would have to make this T into this. Now let's do the S part of the CSP. What does the S stand for? Spacing. And for that, we have our spacer snail. So we can see that when we look at the word the room, it is not actually a real word. In fact, these are two different words and there should be a space right there. And our spacer snail can help us space it out. So when we rewrite our new sentence, there should be a space there. Now we have the space room. It looks like there's a space here and a space here. So all the spaces in this sentence are good. Now let's look at the P portion of the CSP. What does the P stand for? Punctuation. Is there a period at the end of the sentence? No. So when we rewrite the sentence, we will have to put a period right there. Let's now rewrite this sentence onto our printed paper template. Great job! We have written the first sentence of the story to be correct now. Now, let's look at the second sentence of the story. Okay, using our CSPs, let's check the second sentence. So first off, C for capitalization. It looks like the T, the first letter of the first word of this entire sentence, is indeed capitalized. So we're good on the capitalization. Now, let's look at the spacing for this sentence. There's a space between there and was, a space between was and one treasure chest. This seems like a wrongly spaced phrase. So let's try to find the separate words within this cluster of words. We know that one is a separate word, so there should be a space right there. And treasure is also a separate word, so there should be a space right there. And that leaves us with chest. And because it ends with P, or the punctuation mark, the period at the end of the sentence, this sentence is now fixed. Let's rewrite this correctly on our printed template. Now that we've written our second sentence correctly, let's take a look at the last line of the story, also the third sentence of the story. Now, using our CSPs, let's correct these two sentences from the last line of the story, starting with our C, capitalization. Okay, so the first word of this sentence is I, and the I is not capitalized. It is a lowercase I. So when we rewrite it, we will have to change this I into an uppercase I. Now, let's check for the spacing of this sentence. I took it. There seems like there is not a space between the words took and it. And our spacer snail also helps us with determining this. So, let's go ahead and make sure that we write a space when we rewrite the sentence. Now, let's take a look at the punctuation for the first sentence. There is indeed punctuation, as this sentence ends with an exclamation mark. The first sentence has been checked. Now let's move on to the second sentence. Again, we start off with the CSP process. So for C, we check if the first letter of the first word is capitalized. And this W is indeed capitalized. So we're good on that. Now let's look at the spacing of the second sentence. There's a space between where and is and it now. However, there seems like there is a lack of space between these two words. And the spacing should be between it and now. So let's go ahead and make sure to rewrite it with the space correctly. Now let's check for the punctuation of this sentence. Where is it now? It ends with a question mark. So there is indeed punctuation for the second sentence. Now that we've corrected the final line of the story, let's rewrite it on the printed paper template. Yay! We have fixed the story using our handy-dandy snail as well as the cool tips we've learned to remember our C, S, and P of our sentences. Thank you for learning with us today. We hope you come back and learn some more. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and we will be back with more videos shortly.